My name's Dia. I work at NYU Medical Center. Today I'll talk about the progress of the study and also different results that have come out in the past few years. So just giving an overview of the microbiome and also what we're doing. We are it's called the FAMiLI study, but sometimes the word family confuses people because they think that we're studying families, but actually it's an acronym for food and microbiome longitudinal investigation. And longitudinal just means long term. So our study, it goes on for 15, 20 years. And my name is dia.beggs. I'm the research coordinator on the study. And our principal investigator is Dr. Ji-Young Ahn at NYU. To get into what the microbiome means, we can break it down into smaller words. So micro means small, and biome means a naturally occurring community of flora and fauna that occupies a habitat. And in this case, the habitat is our bodies. So there are tiny colonies of bacteria that live in our bodies, and this is known as the microbiome. So it's estimated that just in your gut, you have about 2 pounds worth of bacteria. It's really quite a lot of bacteria that lives in our bodies. And there's a lot that we don't know about the microbiome. It's only the past maybe 20 years that it's started to be really studied by scientists. And scientists are now using DNA sequencing. This has opened new possibilities to study the human microbiome in a really comprehensive and accurate way. And as you can see in this image, they found that different bacteria communities exist at different parts of the body. Like the hair will have a different microbiome than the skin or the esophagus, and that's true for all the different parts of our bodies. And all of these bacteria play an important role in our health. So before I talk about health, I just want to make a distinction between the bacteria that gets us sick and the bacteria in the microbiome. So I think bacteria gets a bad reputation. People think that it's something that causes us to get sick, but actually there's a lot of good bacteria that helps us be healthy. And bacteria plays a role in different parts of our health. For one, it plays a role in digestion. So different types of bacteria play a big role in breaking down the food that we eat. This is one area where we can see a pretty direct connection between our behaviors and the microbiome. If you get a certain food craving, that could be the microbiome playing a role. If you have a craving for sweet things, maybe that tells you that the bacteria that break down sugars maybe are flourishing in your body. There's a big relationship between what we eat and the bacteria we grow. So also the synthesis of vitamins. This means that the bacteria in our bodies help to turn vitamins into energy. So eating fruits and vegetables that are high in many different types of vitamins increases the variability of our microbiome. So it increases the different types of good bacteria that live in our microbiome. It also has an interaction with the immune system. So if there is intruder pathogen or a certain virus or bacteria that does cause disease, the good bacteria in the microbiome can send messages to the cells that are responsible for killing the pathogen that will get us sick. So it helps us to fight off different infections. And there's also opportunistic pathogens, which means that if there's room in the microbiome for an opportunistic pathogen to grow, then it will take up too much space in the microbiome and cause an imbalance. So what we want is to have a very flourishing microbiome so that it'll take up space, and then bad bacteria or opportunistic pathogens won't have room to grow. So I know that's a lot of information about how the microbiome interacts with our health, but the most important thing to remember is that biodiversity and having an abundance of diverse bacteria is key to a healthy, balanced microbiome. So knowing what we know about all of the important roles that the microbiome plays in our health, our study team asked the question, how does the microbiome affect disease? Do some aspects of the microbiome protect us from disease, and do other aspects cause disease? So we already know that the microbiome is related to obesity, inflammatory bowel disease, and even mental health. We're trying to recruit a cohort of volunteers to participate in our study And the study will serve as an important resource for research on human genetics and the microbiome in health and disease. In addition, it will engage a diverse population and diversify the available literature on demographic variations. This is why we launched the FAMiLI study. We launched it back in 2016. And what we do is we ask people to provide a sample of stool, a sample of mouthwash to get their saliva. We ask for a demographic questionnaire and an optional diet questionnaire and an informed consent form. And then over the long term, we follow up with people to monitor any changes in the health. I have one of our study kits here. So this is how it comes to you. It's the oral sample kit. So it involves swishing some mouthwash around in your mouth, and then you spit it into the tube, and then you send that to us. And then for the stool sample kit, you'll collect two small spoonfuls of your stool. You'll send that back to us in this tube. So the purpose of this is to evaluate associations of oral and gut microbiome profiles to the presence and future development of diseases. The study consists of a baseline period and then a follow-up period. When you first enroll in the study, that's considered baseline, and that's when we do the sample collection and the questionnaire collection. And then over a period of 10 to 15 years, we follow up to monitor for disease development like cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease. This is an annual follow-up questionnaire. So our research population is very broad. We include anyone who is older than 40 years old and are currently residing in the United States. And we exclude women who are pregnant and anyone who is on ongoing antibiotic therapy. And currently we have over 10,000 participants who have signed up so far. So that's really great that we've been able to reach that milestone. So just updating on the FAMiLI studies, we originally planned to recruit 10,000 participants over 5 years between 2016 and 2021. And then in 2019, the study was awarded a grant expansion from the National Cancer Institute. So we now plan to expand our study and recruit 14,000 participants over 7 years, and this extends it out to 2023. And additionally, we've published some of our findings, and this is exciting because these findings are based on the study population, including some participants from Smart University. So one finding is that dietary fiber intake influences gut microbiome in healthy adults. So for this study, we categorized 2 groups. One group is high dietary fiber consumers, and the other group is lower dietary fiber consumers. And we found that high consumers of fiber have a larger amounts of a bacteria called Clostridia in their gut. And you can see this picture of the Clostridia. It's kind of a rod-shaped bacteria, and Clostridia is a beneficial bacteria. And what it does is it can change fiber into acids that have colon cancer preventing activity. So in conclusion, fiber in our diets from grains, fruits, and vegetables may influence the risk of several cancers, including colon cancer. So another study that we did was on immigration in the gut microbiome, because it's known that where you're born influences the gut microbiome. So for this study, we compared the gut microbiomes of Korean Americans. So we found that Korean Americans who are currently residing in the United States, some choose to eat a traditional Korean diet, and others adopt a more typical US diet. And we found that the microbiome looks very different for these 2 groups. And so what does this say about health? And that's something that we need to do more research to find out. So we know that the microbiomes look different, but we're still figuring out what role that plays in health. And so when it comes to a person's diet after immigration, there are a bunch of different social and economic factors, demographic and individual factors, exposure to host culture, and ethnocultural norms that influence how the diet changes after immigration. And these changes in diet will affect the human microbiome And then we want to find out how this relates to cancer prevention. And we've also found out that the gut microbiome is related to obesity. So the microbiome plays a critical role in weight gain and obesity. So for this study, we compared the microbiome of different body mass index groups. And we found that obesity was characterized by an increased abundance of bacilli. And you can see the picture of bacilli. And then obesity was also characterized by a decreased abundance of several types of Clostridia, which, if you remember from several slides ago, is a bacteria that can play a role in preventing certain types of cancer. And that's not to say that if you have Clostridia in your microbiome, then you're guaranteed to not develop cancer or anything like that. It's just one factor that can influence the risk of developing certain things. So why is this important? Identifying microbes associated with obesity can potentially lead us to new treatments and prevention for obesity, and it can also help to mitigate the health effects of obesity. Why are we studying the microbiome? Hopefully, we've answered this question. That studying the microbiome can help us to learn about the causes of cancers. It can help us to identify people at high or low risk of cancers, and hopefully have individualized prevention for people depending on their risk. And then also having possible prevention and therapy of cancer by tailored microbial modifications. So there's been a lot of very new research on possibly modifying the microbiome and seeing how this affects people's health. We're still recruiting participants for the FAMiLI study. So if anybody would like to sign up, we do a sign up form at this link. And so on this link, we ask for basic contact information and a few eligibility questions. And our staff will see this and we'll assess you for eligibility. And then we'll reach out with more details on participation and send you a participant kit. And for participating, you can choose to either provide a full study kit, which involves providing the stool sample, mouthwash sample, and questionnaires. And then you'll receive a $25 gift card at the end. Or you can choose to just fill out the questionnaires and we provide a $10 gift card for that. So if you participated in the past, we're now asking for your first health status update. It's a short questionnaire to check in on your health and see how you've been doing since you first signed up for the study. And it takes about 5 minutes to complete, and it's voluntary, so there's no compensation for the follow-up. And we should have sent you the follow-up by email if you provided an email, or we mailed it to you. But if you're unsure if you already completed it, please feel free to contact me. We can check for you. Thanks everyone for listening. Please let me know if you have any questions.